Alright, so as you can see right now, we're idling pretty cleanly. I wouldn't call that a leak, more like a seep. And more importantly, it looks like, at least according to this gauge, we are maintaining temperature. The car has been running for about 1.5 minutes now. It's okay that it's running in the garage. I have appropriate ventilation set up precisely for this. If you're going to work on a car in a garage, I highly suggest you set up a proper ventilation system. Because in Texas, baby, it gets hot out there. And you don't want to be working on a car like this out in the fucking sun, because that sucks ass. I'm going to turn this bitch off, though. Alright, it's been about 1 minute and we're still holding temperature pretty well, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Alright, so I know that eventually that this whole deal here is going to need to be mitigated, obviously, and so if you're experiencing intermittent cooling issues, I highly suggest burping your system, burping your cooling system, which it's not really all that hard to do. Obviously, one way that you can do it is by turning the engine over and by letting off the excess pressure once it has cooled off a little bit. But then once you've done that, make sure the engine is nice and cool before you do this. Let loose the cap, but make sure that it's on there so that it's just venting, so that none of your coolant splashes out. And then start with the bottom hose, very gently squeeze it and flex it, because see, it's hot right now. But you can get in there and you can squeeze it and flex it and manually sort of like swish coolant throughout the system, and then do the same with the top end. This will jiggle any sediment loose and it'll get deposited, you know, back up in here. But see, what happens is if you have a gasket like this, that's sort of like an X gasket, not really a gasket anymore, what can happen is, you know, once the engine cools down, this is seeping coolant now, but it'll eventually dry up, and when it cools down, the negative pressure that this leakage has created will suck air back into the system, and that's what causes air pockets to form and causes your intermittent cooling issues. So if you're experiencing those frequently, give that a try. Otherwise, take your shit to a reputable mechanic, because then you may have more serious problems than I have.